Today, we are diving deep into ancient Egypt to explore an incredible story. It's about creation, rebellion, and a divine rage so powerful it almost wiped out all of humanity. It's a wild tale that actually explains something we see every single day. It all boils down to a pretty terrifying question, right? What happens when a creator god decides to just undo it all? This is the exact dilemma at the heart of an ancient myth from a text we now call the Book of the Heavenly Cow. So let's set the scene. Our story kicks off in a kind of golden age, this mythical time when gods and mortals actually lived together on Earth, all under the rule of the great sun god Ra. Now, you gotta understand, Ra wasn't just some god. He was the big one, the supreme creator, the ruler of the entire universe. His power was absolute. He was, without a doubt, the most important deity in the whole Egyptian pantheon. And this wasn't just some abstract belief either. You could see it carved in stone. During the 5th dynasty, pharaohs, who were even called sun kings, built these enormous temples dedicated only to Ra. And get this, these weren't their tombs. They were massive open-air structures just for worship. That level of devotion was totally unheard of. But of course, this golden age couldn't last forever. As Ra started to grow ancient, humanity, his own creation, started getting ideas. They began to disrespect him, and soon they were plotting against their old king. Well, Ra was all-powerful. He knew what they were up to. And his response? It was swift, it was absolute, and it was utterly terrifying. He decided it was time to unleash his wrath. So he calls a meeting with the other gods to get their advice, and their decision was unanimous. Ra would send out the perfect weapon for his revenge, his very own eye, a terrifying living embodiment of his destructive power to punish the mortals. And this eye took the form of the goddess Hathor. But as she started her mission, something happened. Pure rage completely transformed her into a bloodthirsty destroyer. She became Sekhmet, a name that means the powerful. And she just started tearing through the land. You know, this brings up a really fascinating theme you see in Egyptian mythology, this idea of the two faces of divine fury. Was it always about destruction, or could it also be a force for protection? In this story, Sekhmet's role is crystal clear. Her fire, her fury, it was all aimed directly at humanity. It was a punishment coming from the very god who made them in the first place. So, does that mean every fiery, destructive-looking goddess was a punisher of mortals? Well, not exactly. Let me introduce you to Asbet. Her name actually comes from the ancient Egyptian word for to burn, so she was known as the Flaming One. But here's a twist. Unlike Sekhmet, her fire wasn't meant for people. She was a divine protector. Just look at these depictions. You see goddesses like Abset with the head of a cobra holding knives. They are clearly guardians, armed and ready to defend the divine order, not to punish humanity. So the contrast here is really stark. Sekhmet's target was humanity. Her role was punisher. But Asebat, her target was the enemies of the gods, like the chaos serpent Apophis. Her role was protector. Two fiery goddesses, two completely different job descriptions. Okay, but back to Sekhmet's rampage. She was so good at her job, she was literally about to wipe out all of humanity. And this is where the story takes a really strange turn, and the world gets saved by beer. No, seriously. As Ra is watching all this slaughter from his perch up in the sky, he's filled with an emotion he maybe didn't expect: pity. I mean, sure, he unleashed this destruction, but he couldn't stand to see his creation completely wiped out. So he comes up with this incredibly clever plan. And the plan was just brilliant. Ra sent messengers to get a bunch of red fruit. They crushed it up and mixed it with 7,000 jars of beer, creating this concoction that looked exactly like blood. Then they flooded the fields with it. When Sekhmet showed up for her morning hunt, she saw what she thought was a sea of blood, drank it all down, got completely wasted, and just forgot what she was doing there. Her mission to destroy humanity, totally forgotten. And just like that, humanity was saved. But the relationship between the creator and his creation was changed forever. Ra was still really suspicious of them, still wary of their potential for sin.
So he decides he's had enough. He climbs onto the back of a celestial cow and just ascends into the heavens, physically separating the realm of the gods from the world of mortals. And in his place, he leaves the wise god Thoth, who would appear as the moon, to rule over the earth.
And this is where it all clicks. The entire epic drama, the rebellion, the punishment, the drunken salvation, it's all a grand mythological explanation for a daily cosmic event. Ra's departure to the heavens? Well, that's the sun setting at dusk. And Thoth arriving to take his place? That's the moon rising to light up the night. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? The Egyptians used this incredible, dramatic story just to explain the sunset. What other everyday things that we take for granted, the changing of the seasons, an echo in a valley, might have their own epic, forgotten stories hidden just out of sight?